In today's episode, we have professional speaker Billy Wigley, who is an expert at Excel and is going to share with you his journey into online courses. You also get to hear how the pandemic has actually made him more focused on his business, why it's important to always have your audience in mind when creating content, and the reasons why having a coach can propel you much further along in your own online business. And now, on with the show. Welcome to the Online Course Igniter podcast, where you'll hear from successful course creators and how they were able to turn their passion into a thriving online business empire.
Aloha kaka yaka, Jeremy Deegan. This is Billy Wigley coming at you live from the 9th Island, Las Vegas, Nevada. Woo! How you doing, Jeremy?
Good, man. How are you doing today? I'm glad to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you. And we got a lot to talk about ever since this pandemic hit, and it's made me get into my business.
Very good, man. I'm excited to hear about that. If you don't know Billy Wigley, he is from Don't Get Mad, Get Skills. And he's on the podcast with us today to talk about his online course journey. So, Billy, how did you get started in online business?
I got tired of traveling. I was a professional speaker, traveling, teaching people Excel, giving all day 6-hour seminars, going to 4 different cities a week, doing about almost 100 cities a year sometimes. And at 9 a.m., the seminar starts. I'm teaching Excel until 4 p.m. when it ends, and then packing my bags, heading to the next city. And I'm sitting there, doing what I call infotainment, because I'm teaching Excel, doing what I'm passionate about. But at the same time, part of, you're speaking to sell. It's infotainment. I'm teaching you some skills, but I've got to give you some resources that you can continue the learning. Because, you're going to forget. How much do you remember when you go to a seminar? You remember the 100% of the seminar?
Usually just like the last sentence of the last day.
When our breaks and when is lunch and when we're done.
Right.
So I need to give you something to take with you to reinforce the learning. And so the companies that would contract me to go speak, they would be relying on me to sell. So more than being a trainer, speaker, what I am is a sales professional. And as I'm teaching you, the whole way through teaching, I'm plugging in the products, the resources that are going to help you continue the learning.
Nice.
And I started getting really, really good at developing the techniques. Started studying a little bit of neuro-linguistic programming and understanding, the chemical cocktail that you can create in somebody's mind that'll lead them to purchase. Mm-hmm. And by using specific language. And I was getting pretty good at that. And then I started to, my sales weren't as great as they could be. And I started to realize that it's because I don't like the product. I like speaking and I like teaching, but the products that I had to sell, I always felt like I could do better.
Right.
So my sales started to decline. And I got tired of traveling. It's pretty cool when you first start traveling, first couple years. But after 5 years of 100 cities a year, and you pretty much keep going to the same places over and over, mm-hmm. and you don't even know your neighbor.
Right.
I knew the people at TSA, the people at the Southwest Airlines counter, Delta counter, everybody at the airport were my friends and stuff. So,
right.
I thought, I gotta quit doing this. So I started making, just for fun, videos on YouTube because I wanted a YouTube channel. So I started making videos on YouTube of Excel, elements of the Excel screen, how to write a formula, or, how to do a VLOOKUP, these different things related to Excel. And I was just putting it on my YouTube channel. And then I started thinking, there's got to be a way I can make some money from this, because I was just doing it for fun. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, well, there was this, it wasn't Skillshare. It was something else before. It started right about the same time as Udemy. And they did pictures, sold photographs, and then they had like Skill Bits or Skill Success. I forgot the name of that website was. And so they allowed you to put little small courses up there. kind of like Skillshare,
Right.
and with no quality control or anything. So I just started putting courses up there, and I started, or not even courses, just videos. And then next thing I'm getting $2, $3, $4. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. And then some of the people that were in there, some of the instructors had their courses in there. Alan Hill was one of them. And
Old school.
Old school, man. And that's before we knew anything about Alan. We just knew he was rocking. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, he starts talking about Udemy. And I thought, oh, cool. Let me go find out about Udemy. And so Udemy was kind of like a step up, because now I have to go through some quality control. I got to actually put together a course. And so I'm thinking, what course can I put? So I got involved in the Udemy Facebook group and started talking to other instructors. Yeah, I want to have a course. I got all these videos. What should I do? And then people said, you got videos, make a course, just put them together and just put something out there and just see what happens, and start figuring it out from there. And so I thought, well, I got all these videos that I made of all these different Excel skills. So I created a course called Shortcuts, Tips, and Tricks, Excel Shortcuts, Tips, and Tricks. So it's just a combination of a bunch of different videos, which are all could stand on their own.
Right.
And then next thing you know, I started to work on, okay, how do I get this to sell in Udemy? So then that's when I started figuring out the optimizing for the Udemy search engine. So I'd be changing my title and then searching for it, and then changing my title again, and searching, and it's changing some content and searching against it. Try to keep myself appearing higher and higher up. And then after that, I started seeing, okay, there's a little bit of money coming in here. I can see how I could turn this into a full-time, into a business where I can actually make a living. And so I was so sick of traveling and teaching, 6-hour seminars every day, that I just said, you know what, I got enough money saved up to last me a little bit over 6 months in case I don't get any income. And I just quit. I decided to, I just changed my audience. I didn't change what I was doing, didn't change my act. I changed my audience is what I did. Mm-hmm. So I took my act from being in public. We always do it with the audience that my client was choosing for me. And I went to go look for my own audience with my same act though. And so that's when I started working on Udemy. And then when I quit my contract, and I just stayed home, and I started making a course that I laid it out really good, structured it out really good. I mean, I spent 6 months creating this course.
Oh, wow.
I burnt through all my savings completely. And then I finally got it on Udemy. And then I kept thinking, got into the Udemy world. I stopped thinking about, where else can I have this product? And it's all going to be right here in Udemy. And then I got picked up by the Udemy for Business. Mm-hmm. And, it was starting to be a lot of work, and I burned through all my reserves. And so then I had to start working, I started driving Uber and Lyft and doing Amazon, package deliveries, everything that I could do that would still allow me time to work on my business. Mm-hmm. And then after a while, what happened is, I just started making regular monthly income on its own, automatically just sitting there. But I started getting disappointed, and I started getting, like my product's not that good. It should be selling. There's all these other people around me that, they're all cranking, making a bunch of money. Right. Alan Hill was making tons of cash. Jerry Banfield was making tons of cash. All these other people making tons of cash. And so I'm sitting there, comparing, which I should have never done, because you don't know what the situation is on the other side.
That's right.
But I just got started feeling sad, depressed, like my stuff's not good. It's not selling, and instead of investing more time into learning more about how to sell my course and if is it the right product, I just started spending time just trying to survive, trying to make money to pay my bills, and I started kind of like breaking away from investing the time that I need to invest. And then suddenly here comes in the meantime, every month I'm getting a little bit more and more money from Udemy without me even touching it. That's the only thing I knew about my course on Udemy was like on the 8th, I'd be looking to see if I got paid, you know?
Right.
I mean, a little bit of like, it started out like, 100, then 500, then 900, and so it always came in handy, but I still wasn't even touching it for 2 years. I didn't touch any of it. It was just like dividends coming to me. And then the pandemic hit. So now I'm forced to, I got to sit here at home in my home office, and there's nothing else I can do except focus on my business. And at the same time, I'm sure you've got some courses on Udemy. You started to notice, wow, Udemy just got busy.
Yeah.
Everything online just
Everyone's home.
Just blew up. Like my income doubled,
Yeah. It's taken off lately for sure. And it, like you said, that passive residual income from Udemy is great. So are you, how many courses did you put on Udemy? Was it just the one, or did you have multiple courses?
4. I have 4.
Okay.
And the flagship course, the one that's, I think it's 75 videos. It's about almost 6 hours long. I mean, it's my flagship. It's like my best one, It's not the one that sells the most. The one that sells the most by far is the one that I thought was my crappiest of all. It's got some videos on there that I look at and I go, man, that's before I even barely knew how to make a video. Like right. I'm using a microphone that's on my laptop and everything,
Right.
That course is by far outperforms all my other courses. And it's the one that I thought was the crappiest of all.
Now, let's pause here for a quick second. Why do you think that course has done better than the course that you spend all that time on and hard work on?
Number one, it's because the topic, people are looking for shortcuts, tips, and tricks. Mm-hmm. And they just love going in there and watching a couple videos here, and then boom, they probably never even look at the rest of it. They just need to get that 1 or 2 videos out of there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And it's not too long. I think it's because it's not that long.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that myself. I did a same thing, Photoshop course, and it's like a 16-hour course, and I thought it was going to go bananas because I put so much effort into it, and it doesn't perform as well as some of my other courses. And I wonder if it's because it just too much information overload.
But there's also another thing though, that course, Shortcuts, Tips and Tricks course, the first course I put on Udemy, I invested a lot of time into the copy, content, the wording, the Udemy algorithm. I spent a lot of time optimizing it for Udemy.
Right.
That first course. The second course, I didn't spend so much time because after 6 months of working on it, I was just fine. I was just happy to record the last video, man, and get it up there.
Yeah, right.
However, that course has the highest rating. My Shortcut Tips and Tricks double the sales, but it's not as highly rated as my 7 Steps to Excel Success course. So, I had lost confidence in my. One of the things that you got to really do that I've learned for selling is consistency, and you got to believe in yourself, believe in your product, and believe that you're going to be able to achieve what you want to achieve. You got to believe it. I lost faith in my products. That's why I wasn't touching it. I started doing other things, and I was even thinking about applying for a job someplace.
Right.
And then, when the pandemic hit and I'm able to spend more time in my courses, I started answering reviews, responding to reviews that are being left on my courses. And the reviews were all amazing. I was like, wow, why wasn't I reading this when I was sad a year ago? They're all like, awesome, I've learned so much. Yeah, these great reviews. And then I started looking at some of my videos of my Pride and Joy course and I was going, wow. I watched a 7-minute video and it felt like it was 2 minutes long. And I was like, man, I even like my own videos. Usually I don't like my own videos. And so you got to believe in your product. So now that I got my product, it's market tested already, right? I already know for a couple of years, it's been out in the marketplace. It's selling good in Udemy only though, in Udemy. So I'm not generating that much income. Like I don't think I'm able to sell it in Udemy for what it's really worth.
Mhm.
And so then I've been wanting for years to get my own platform, so I can have my own students, my own customers, everything. I
Yes.
can control it all myself. And so I started experimenting with Teachable and Thinkific and all these different ones. And I finally settled on Zenler. And I kind of hung out with Zenler for a little while, and then eventually they evolved into New Zenler. And then
Right.
now they got everything in one place. I've got all marketing, I got everything all in one place. Now I'm putting my courses up there. So I've got 2 courses on, and then all of a sudden I realized, how come I'm not getting sales? How come I'm not getting the traffic? And then I realized as I started to learn more about SEO, which I don't know anything, I'm just now taking free classes from Neil Patel. And as soon as I can, I'm going to get me a coach to work with me, to help me flatten this learning curve. So I just lost track of my thoughts there, thinking about a coach.
Well, you were talking about putting all your stuff on New Zenler as your own platform. I wanted to just mention real quick that you were talking about having belief in your product, and I think that's important because it sounds like when you were traveling and doing the in-person events, you started the podcast off by saying that you lost faith in those products, you lost the belief in those products, and your sales started going down. And it sounds like this happened again with your courses. Like you said, you lost belief in those. So you regain your products, your belief, and then you decide that you're going to put them up on your own platform. And you went with New Zenler. So how does that look now on that platform? You said you had 2 courses on there?
I have 2 because that's all I've uploaded so far. Now I got to upload my short. Can you believe that my very best course, my highest selling course, best of all time, is I have not yet uploaded it on my own website.
Why would you not start with that one?
Exactly. Why would I not start with that one? It was because I always started in my own mind, not the customer's mind. See, that was the problem. I switched to my own website and I started building it for myself.
That's good. That's good.
Instead of for who's buying this? Am I buying it? I'm not buying it.
It's funny because people will ask me all the time, like, they'll ask me a question and I'll say, I am not your audience. Like don't ask me that question. Go ask the people who would buy your course and ask that question. Like, I'm not buying it. And that's a good point. Like, we get so focused on what we want and what we think is best that we kind of lose track of like finding out what the people who would buy would actually be interested in.
Yeah, exactly. And so you got to remember that who's your audience and write for them. But when we sit here in our little world, sometimes we get so into our little world that we kind of get stuck in our little world.
Right.
So that's why you got to take breaks. And so I got everything. I got a couple courses up on Udemy, and then I'm going, why am I not getting any traffic? Like, the only traffic that I'm getting is traffic that I'm specifically like forcing to go there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But there's no conversions happening, right? And I'm not doing any paid advertising because I don't know anything about that yet, right? And suddenly I realized, wow, the content, the copy for my landing pages for my courses in my own store is optimized for the Udemy search engine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I started learning more about Google SEO and Facebook advertising. When you really seriously want to get into it, you got to dedicate a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so I decided, now that, I got because there's so much online going on and so many I started seeing a lot of webinars pop up. I thought, well, I've got my system where I can do live classes attached to my courses. I can do live webinars. I can do live streaming, in my store. So I decided, I'm going to start. Now I'm working on optimizing the content on my landing pages. And I created a webinar, for macros. I decided I'm going to make a little short 30-minute, mini webinar, structured it real good and get a lot of content in there in 30 minutes and not even feel rushed. So I first thing I did was I decided, okay, it's going to be a macros webinar, and I'm going to set the date. Boom, set the date. And then I started figuring out now what are the steps that I need to do, because I need a system. In the last, I always wanted a system, but I never really invested the time into developing a system. So I take out my, concept draw, my mind mapping software, and I boom, 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 outline my course real quick. Bam, bam, bam. That's going to be the content for the 30-minute course. I already know this content. Now, let me create my marketing sequence. So I had to develop that. So my series of emails that I'm going to send out. And as I was putting together my system, I started to realize, okay, now I need to build a separate landing page for this, and I need to build this. I need to build this, and all these different things that I couldn't have done 5 years ago because I didn't have the technical skills. Mm-hmm. So I've been able to build the technical skills. Now it's working on the SEO skills and the skills of the marketing skills.
Right. And getting it to convert.
Yes. And so now I've been able to develop a system, a series of emails that I send out and a way of tracking everything. And I did that first webinar, and I got 7 people to register, and I only did like a week and a half of like just trying to get people to sign up. And I have a small list of like 700 people that I've built from like personally meeting people. And so that's what I've been, marketing to. And I've been little by little picking up other people on my list, and then I put the free giveaway thing on my website. So I've learned that, continue on with my system though. So once I did the webinar, there was the last steps of my system, the post-webinar follow-ups to the people that attended and to the people that did not attend. And then led to me building a webinar page, adding that to my website. So when you go to don'tgetmadgetskills.com, you click on webinars, it's going to start showing you all the webinars that I've done. That's where they're going to be residing. And then eventually that is evergreen, right? So eventually that, when I have quite a few, because the contents for those webinars, it turns out is pretty good. Because the first one I just did that's on my website right now, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm usually not happy with any video I record ever. And this one, since I was done with that webinar, I saw the recording. I was like, wow, that's good. I'm really getting into it. I liked it. I watched it like 3 times in a row. And so all those webinars, those are all good content. My first webinar with macros, I don't have a macro seminar. I don't have a macro course. I think I only have one video that teaches macros in all my courses. So that exercise, after I went through this whole exercise, now I got a system in place that I'm going to keep tweaking, right? But that also taught me that, why did I do a macro webinar? I don't got anything macro to sell. All I got to sell is like, at the end of the webinar, I just go, here, let me just drive you, let me show you my website. Come on here, just trying to get attention. And
there might be a disconnect there, because if someone came to learn macros and then you send them to your site and you don't have anything on macros, then you've lost that interest of that person.
Yeah, and in the middle of the conversation, I'll throw in, and I'm going to send you a follow-up email showing you how you can schedule one-on-one time with me so I can help you.
Right.
And so now that I've got this system in place, I had to go through the motions. And it took me like 2 weeks to develop this basic system. And now I got my next webinar is pivot tables. Well, guess what? I have a pivot tables course.
Nice.
So I'm just going to pick highlights of, I'm going to teach highlights of the pivot table course. Some skills that I know that people want to know about pivot tables, because pivot tables I know is a mystery to people.
Yeah, it is to me. So, it sounds like something I need, but I can't ever figure them out.
Yeah, but it's easy. Once I show you, it's the filter on steroids. That's all it is. So now I got this system in place that I'm going to plug in. Now I know what to do. I have a algorithm for what I need to do for my next webinar, and then keep improving upon that.
Right.
It just takes you just got to be doing it all the time, And
yeah.
It seems like I quit for 2 years. I quit my business for 2 years, but it kept growing on its own.
Right.
And there's things that I had invested in through like AppSumo, like TubeBuddy that I got. And I got Amplifier, which is, TubeBuddy's great for helping me optimize my YouTube channel. And then Amplifier is helping me with my social media. You know how you it distributes your posts. You can schedule, a whole month of posts in advance and all that. So those tools I purchased in the past, they're coming in handy now. The investments that I made in the past are coming in handy now.
Yeah, it sounds like you got the foundation started, and now it's just building up that house. And I want to talk about your YouTube strategy in here just a minute, because I know you do a lot of YouTube, and I want to hear what's working for you on there. But I want to take a moment real quick just to point something out. Listening to your story, is at the beginning you mentioned that it takes a lot of time. And that is true. Learning and implementing these things can take a lot of time. Setting up a sales funnel, email automation, the emails that you have to send out, the content you create. The system that you're building does take time. But the beauty of it is once it's built and it's refined and it works, it becomes that passive income generator, right? And you have more control. So a lot of people go to these marketplaces like Skillshare and Udemy because they already have the system and they already have the students coming in, but you have very little control over that platform. Now, when you go to your own platform, you have way more control. It's going to take a little longer, but once you build that system, once you have that system in place and your webinar is converting and your products are converting, and now you're just sending traffic, you won't have to worry about that anymore, right? Like you already had that foundation built out.
Absolutely. You got your system. It's almost like you become an online marketing professional.
Right. Hello, course creators. Are you struggling with marketing and selling your online course? If so, then head over to our free community where successful course creators are ready to help you create, market, and sell your expertise. Go to onlinecourseigniter.com/community now to join. That's onlinecourseigniter.com/community. Let's talk about YouTube, because you said that you started YouTube first. So I know, you said you took a break from your business for a little bit, but have you consistently been publishing on YouTube, and what things have been working for you on that platform?
I have not. I wasn't publishing on anything, anywhere. I just stopped. But what I did have that gave me a little bit of advantage, that something that's giving me an advantage right now, as there's so many things that I've been working on at once, right? Mm-hmm. I had a person, John, I can't remember his name, but he taught me some YouTube strategies. And one of the things that I remember that I really picked up from him was, he goes, you got to get TubeBuddy, and then watch my course also. So I was able to get TubeBuddy through, it was one of those AppSumo deals.
Yeah.
Like now it's like, it's more expensive, but I was able to get it. And so YouTube is like a whole nother world there. So just recently, now that I'm doing my webinars, I'm going back into YouTube now. And you have to be consistent. You have to just be consistent. You got to be putting up new videos up there, and you got to be consistently letting everybody know that, you've got new videos up there. YouTube is just something that I'm just it's just been sitting there for me. It's just a place where I went and put videos, and actually got what got me started on everything. Now I'm using YouTube to drive traffic back to my site.
Gotcha. Now, how does that look? Are you sending them to a lead magnet or an offer, or are you sending them straight to the courses? How does that look?
That's the part that I'm working out right now, because it turns out I discovered such a thing called marketing funnels. So now I got the funnel. See, it's like you say, you have to invest some time, because I remember back when I'm building my system, I got to create a landing page. Before, it would take me a week to make a landing page and then put a pixel in it, a tracking pixel, forget it. Now I can just whoop that out.
Right.
But there's more stuff that I need to learn. But I'm going to, once I get my Don't Get Mad, Get Skills site with at least 3 courses on it, and each one of my courses, the copy is optimized, and I've got this quizzes, and I've got everything working really nicely inside my store. I'm gonna invest more time into YouTube. I mean, I'm still working on YouTube because I got a friend of mine that he's obsessed about YouTube. He wishes that I just did YouTube only. So he's always getting upset with me because he's sending me all kinds of keywords that I need to be using and videos that I need to be making. But I'm like, man, I'm not a YouTuber. But YouTube, I think, is really powerful.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of income that can be generated from YouTube, and I think there's a lot of traffic that can go from YouTube to your site because YouTube can be used. My goal is to make my site like a premium site, because my course, you can go to Udemy and get that 7 Steps to Excel Success course for $5 or $9.99 or whatever, but you're not going to get me.
Right. That's exactly right.
I'm the pro. I just gave you 5 hours of knowledge here on this video, on this course, but there's, 30 years of Excel skills in this brain still left.
Right.
5,000 people that I've trained one-on-one in person. So that's worth more than $5.
Yeah.
So now I got to communicate. I see the value. Now, how am I going to get my customers to see the value? It's the conversion. Like, okay, now I'm starting to figure out how to because I'm looking at my numbers and I'm starting to see every little thing go up, right? The visits, the amount of time, the bounce rates going down, all these numbers that I'm beginning to understand now. Mm-hmm. So now I'm able to measure. So I'm getting people to go to visit my website and visit YouTube, but there's no conversions happening. That's the part that I got to start working on. It's just a lot of work. It's everything in one piece, man. But the number one suggestion I can give to anybody is just stick to itness.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, if you were talking to yourself 5 years ago, or how long you said you've been working at this, what would you tell yourself to focus on? Like, if you could just pick like one thing that you thought would really move you along the most, what would that be?
Doing something every single day that's going to get you closer to your goal, and maintain a positive mental attitude. That's 2 things that go together.
Well, I think probably maintaining the positive mental attitude is probably more important, because once that fails, everything else seems to follow.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. I just stopped, and it was because of the pandemic that brought me back to my business. And I'm actually doing better now than before. Yeah,
I mean, it's funny how sometimes life can just throw itself at you and make you change course for the better. You might think at the time, like, oh, why do I got to be stuck at home all the time? And here it's knocking on your front door. Hey, Billy, like, open up. You can start working on your course again.
Yeah. And, like the number 2 advice, I guess, and now that I think about it, thinking back on what were points where I actually were like stepping stones, like where I actually took a leap. Mm-hmm. And that was every time I talked to somebody that was more experienced than me, like John. I think he's at John. I can't remember. I wish I could remember his last name. The YouTube guy. He kind of gave me a leap. And then even you, you've helped me just recently. Reminded me that I have an audience. I'm writing for my audience. I'm not writing for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're helping me with my macro webinar just by reading, like I'm telling, hey, so what about this? And you're like, well, hey, what's a macro? And then it made me realize in my whole promoting this macro webinar, I never mentioned what's a macro.
Right.
So everybody already know macros. So if they already know macros, why would they go see the seminar, webinar?
Yeah, it's and that comes back to the marketing and learning these things through the process of education and training yourself, is that we, like you said earlier, we get so focused on our own world and what we know as experts, but forget that students, new learners, don't understand. And it's funny because I was talking about this with my wife the other day. She's in the medical field, and we were talking about this very same thing, that she's been doing this for 10 years. And when she does, surgeries, which is what her profession is in, it's secondhand nature for do something as simple as putting on gloves and a gown. But one time she did it to me and I had no idea what to do. Like, she was holding the glove out. I didn't know I was supposed to put my hand in and then grab it. So she, like all these different things that are so second nature to the experts, things that we take for granted, that
Yeah.
when we say something like the macro webinar, come learn macros, someone who doesn't understand even what a macro is, that doesn't really speak to them. And so we have to start thinking about the messaging. How do macros help? What can we do with macros that are going to make someone want to watch this webinar? But I definitely agree with your second point, is just reaching out to people who are on different parts of the road than you are, and just gaining that experience from them. I mean, there's so many great people out there that all you have to do is go see what they're doing and see what works, and then follow their lead.
And I like to exercise. I like to work out. And the very best shape that I've ever been in my life, top shape, like I never thought I could ever be in this shape ever in my life, was when I had a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And I paid her to train me. And I used to lift really heavy weights, as heavy as I could, and this and that, screaming in the gym.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
And no, she took me to like, no. We're going to work on like every little weak part that you have, and we're going to strengthen that. And we're going to use tools to help us build the strength and a solid foundation. And you're not going to use a lot of weight because you're damaging yourself. You're just going to work on on your technique.
Yeah.
Execution has to be just right. And so that knowledge, that her years and years of knowledge, just took me from like 10 years, 15 years of me working out, in 1 year working out with her. It was like better than those 10 years I ever had, where I got better results. And then she got me up to the, she got to the point where she couldn't get me any fitter. She said, I can't do anything else with you. And so she turned me over to a different trainer, a boxing coach. And then he got me into, competing in amateur boxing at the master division level. But it's because I invested into paying some people to help me. So now I know that to get me to the next level, I need a coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's sit right here.
So I invested in a high ticket coaching program myself, and it's definitely been life changing and has opened me up to a whole lot of new ideas. And what's interesting is when you pay money for something, especially for coaching, like let's just use coaching for an example. If you spend a good portion of money, which is always the struggle, right? Because it's always like, I can't afford to pay for a coach. But the real question is, can you afford not to pay for a coach? Because how much time, energy, and money are you wasting trying to figure out everything on your own? On YouTube, looking at YouTube videos where a coach or someone can just point you in the right direction immediately and show you that path and get you past all that wasted time and energy. So when you pay for a coaching program or a higher level course or a higher ticketed program, I notice that two things happen. One, you are paying for the education of that coach or that trainer or the person who's giving you that information. But two, you are more invested into your success because you've applied a monetary value to it. So I find that when I put more money into a higher ticketed coaching program, not only am I paying for that expertise, but I am invested more into my goal because of the money that I put into it. So
and your coach, so is the person helping you.
Right, exactly, because they're getting more money for the value of their time. So of course they're going to give you more one-on-one time and help you out. But just you as a personal experience, or me for myself, I just feel like I'm not going to let myself down. I applied for this. I always use the analogy of like, kind of like going to college, because when I went to college, I took out a loan, and that money's like kind of like in the atmosphere somewhere. You don't, it's not tangible. You don't feel it, like it's just, you're making, student payments, but that money is just like, it's out there in the world. But when I took hard earned cash out of my wallet and paid for a coaching program, I've learned more in this span of time than my degree in college, because I just feel like I'm even more invested, into myself and my success.
And yeah, I know exactly what you're. I did have fun in college,
Well, who didn't have
It was
fun?
that I was already 30 years old when I went back to college.
Yeah.
So I was, paying for it, and I was also I was working and learning at the same time. But the first time I went to college, I was just partying.
Yeah, when you went back a second time, like you were probably much more invested in your success, because now you're putting your money into that. It's not just something that you have to go do because you finished high school.
Yeah, exactly. So you're away from home. But like when I was traveling around speaking, there was this one guy. His name is Jamie Sundell. His name is known as Mr. Lifestyle. He's the number one trainer, top sales guy, and the number one seminar company on the planet. Right. Jamie Sundell, Mr. Lifestyle. This guy is super cool. Well, he's got a system that he developed. I mean, I've helped him in seminars. I've gone there, and he creates what's called stampedes into the back of the room. I go there to help him because he always has seminars with, more than 150 people. So when he's been in Vegas, I've gone to help him, and I'm in the back because he needs somebody to collect the sales, because he's got so many people buying. He can't do it all himself. Right. And so he does his magic, and when it comes time to sell, like it's like he flicks a switch, and then bam, people are running all the way back to the back. It's literally a stampede of sales, man.
Right.
You'll do like 50,000, 20,000, 30,000. Those big numbers. No one in the company comes close to doing those numbers that he does, and he coaches also. And I could never, when I first started, I couldn't afford his coaching, because it was like $10,000 I had to pay him. Then he'd fly to a city to watch me, one of my train, and I couldn't at the time. But he would say, "Billy, I like you. You can just pay me like $300, and I'll teach you a little something." And every time I would talk to him, the very next time I go on the road, my sales were better.
Right. Yeah. It's funny. It's funny you talk about the in-person event coachings, because I changed my mindset on this when I used to go watch events, conferences, and stuff. I was listening to what the speaker was talking about. Hopefully, I get my point across here. But I used to take notes on what they were speaking about. So if they were speaking about Excel, I was taking notes on Excel. Now, when I watch speakers and conferences and webinars, I'm not paying attention to what they're teaching. I'm paying attention to how they're teaching it. So my notes are, why did they ask this question? Why did they say it this way? What emotions or feelings are they drawing out? Because that is truly marketing. And we were talking about this before, that online course creators, if this isn't going to be a hobby and it's going to be a business for you, you have got to stop being an online course creator, and you have to start being a business person. You have to start thinking about the online course as just a product, and there are more avenues, more aspects of the business. There's advertising and marketing, messaging and sales and different things like that. So when I watch speakers now, there's a reason why this guy is getting people to buy. It's not just the knowledge that he has, but it's the way that he's saying it, the way that he's crafting his presentation and his messaging. And it's so funny now, because I even look at speaking differently than I used to in the past.
Yeah, Jamie, he has spent years testing out everything, every word that he uses. So he'll look at his sales, and he'll look at his reviews, reviews at the end of the seminar, and he'll think, okay, what is one thing that I can change on the next one, and then see the results. Like he'll change one thing though. That way he can really know. He doesn't change 5 things.
Right. Yeah.
He just changes one thing.
Because you wouldn't know what worked and what didn't work.
Yeah. And then after years, and then that guy, like whenever I would go, whenever I get a chance to go see him, I'm just like you. I just take notes,
Mhm.
and I'm not even paying attention because I already know Excel. And besides, he's got 2 seminars going. He's teaching you Excel, but he's doing something else to you.
Yeah, it's marketing and it's emotions and it's the messaging and the offer. And so next time you get to see him, sit down and write down his questions and then think why did he ask that question? Why did he say that?
Exactly.
Why did he present it this way? Why did he talk about this first and this second and this third? And you can apply that into your own marketing. You can apply that to your own webinars and your own courses and your own landing pages. But yeah, man, it's been a great talk. We should probably wrap it up. I feel like I could talk to you for hours on all of this. Where do you see yourself going forward in the future? What are the main goals that you're trying to accomplish, and where do you see yourself? Is it just going to be online courses? Would you like to get back into in-person events? Where do you see yourself maybe 5 years down the road from now?
I only have 2 goals that I'm focusing on achieving. That's it. I want to get to $1,500 a day, and I want to move back home to Hawaii.
Nice.
That's all I'm working on right now. Whatever it takes, that's what I'm doing. Waking up at 5 a.m., spending time, putting together all my mind maps, doing my creating content, getting pissed off at Facebook, getting pissed off at Google. I don't understand what the hell analytics are, getting frustrated. I sat here for 4 hours trying to figure out why one pixel wasn't working on a landing page. 4 hours. And I decided to finally, I'm going to go on Facebook into one of the groups and I ask. And you know why that pixel wasn't working for me?
Why?
Because I had the ad blocker turned on. It's like that's once everybody that knows about pixels ad blocker and understands it. That's like my computer's not working and the first thing you check is make sure it's plugged in.
Right.
So 4 hours, man, that I spent trying to finally somebody goes, Pixel's working for me, and they send me a screenshot, and then I go, duh. As soon as I saw their screenshot, I realized it's ad blocker. I turned off ad blocker and everything fell into place.
Oh man. Well, very good. Well, I hope you just continue on your success. I hope that you meet your goals. And once you get back to Hawaii, we're going to be making our way out there. So maybe we can meet up.
Absolutely. And then maybe
Awesome.
You can be a coach.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can show me how to surf a little better.
On the big waves, brother.
All right, man. Cool.
Thanks.
Well, hey, I wanted to ask you, where can people find out about you online?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see everybody at don'tgetmadgetskills.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Billy. You have a good day.
All right, brother. Aloha.
Aloha, Billy. Thanks for coming on the show today. You can find out more about him and his business by visiting don'tgetmadgetskills.com, or you can get the show notes of this episode along with links and resources by visiting onlinecourseigniter.com/12. Stay tuned next week for an all-new episode. Thank you for tuning in to the Online Course Igniter podcast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening so that you don't miss an episode. If you would like to learn more marketing strategies and how to sell your online course, then also check out our free community where we share tips, tricks, and tutorials at onlinecourseigniter.com/community.